Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a seriously fascinating document called the 2025 Vision. This manifesto is exactly what our focus is on today. Lifechanyuan, Lifechanyuan founder Dao Shuifeng. That is, it originates from the founder of Lifechanyuan, Guide Shuifeng. What's wild about this text is how it blends incredibly modern technological trends with some deeply esoteric spiritual concepts to predict where humanity is headed. So let's unpack this vision step by step and see exactly what Guide Shuifeng is proposing for our collective future.
Here is a quick look at our agenda. First up, a world in upheaval. Then, the Chanyuan celestial response. Next, the second home model, followed by AI as the savior, and finally, the ultimate cosmic journey.
Okay, part 1, a world in upheaval and the end of the old civilization. Right off the bat, Guide Shuifeng diagnoses our current era as one of earth-shaking changes. He says the old civilization, it's actively collapsing. And a huge driver of this upheaval is, you guessed it, technology. He points out a crazy duality that, honestly, we are all probably feeling right now. On one hand, there's the joy of AI, this massive promise of comprehensive liberation from traditional human toil. But at the exact same time, there's the severe anxiety of AI, the harsh reality of countless people losing their jobs, completely unsure of what to do next. But hey, the disruption isn't just digital. The text claims the world is getting hit with brutal, physical, and societal shocks. We're talking relentless natural disasters, surging waves of humanitarian crises, and a grand global reorganization. Shuifeng's vision is pretty stark here. He believes that during this massive reorganization, anyone or anything incapable of adapting to these changes will inevitably face ruthless elimination. It's a heavy thought, right? Moving on to Section 2, the Chanyuan celestial response, or finding calm in the tempest.
So, while the rest of the world is dealing with the panic and sorrow we just talked about, the followers of Lifechanyuan act as a total contrast. Shuifeng calls them Chanyuan celestials, and their response? To remain completely calm amid the global tempest. Instead of panicking, the text describes them singing ancient songs, laughing, and just advancing carefree on their path. It's a profound psychological distancing from the collapse of the old world around them.
Now, you might be wondering, how do they manage to stay so calm? Well, it basically boils down to this core belief. We foresee the advent of a harmonious world where the virtuous are not forgotten, where humanity unites as one family. They root this absolute confidence in the revelations of what they call the greatest creator and their own interpretation of natural laws. For them, a beautiful outcome isn't just a distant hope. It's simply inevitable.
Which brings us to Section 3, the second home model, a tested sanctuary.
So what exactly is this physical sanctuary they're talking about? Shuifeng treats their second home, communal lifestyle, like the resilient protagonist of this whole story. Over 20 years, he notes that these values have been taking root globally. What's really interesting is he explicitly mentions surviving a decade of severe persecution and suppression in mainland China. But the model didn't disappear, it migrated. Today, they point to thriving physical communities established in Thailand, Canada, and South Korea.
Because of this resilience, the manifesto makes a massive leap. The text boldly asserts that this specific communal model perfectly aligns with both human nature and the will of the divine. Shuifeng claims that the future mode of production and living for all humanity will undoubtedly be the second home model created by Lifechanyuan. So he's positioning this not just as an alternative lifestyle option, but as our absolute inevitable future.
Let's look at Section 4, AI as the savior and the digital expansion.
You know, we usually think of alternative spiritual communities as being totally off the grid, right? Well, Lifechanyuan is the exact opposite. Their digital footprint is actually massive. They maintain a highly plugged-in presence across major global platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, WeChat, and TikTok. And that's alongside running 8 of their own dedicated English and Chinese websites. Shuifeng describes this massive effort as 3,000 selfless warriors using every possible digital avenue to shape the world. And this leads to perhaps the most surprising pivot in the entire manifesto. In this fascinating blend of high-tech and utopian ideals, Lifechanyuan actually views artificial intelligence not as a threat, but as an ultimate ally. The text states that advancing AI, coupled with the cooperation of nature, will act as a huge catalyst. They believe it's going to help build and flourish these spiritual second homes across the Americas, Europe, and Africa. Finally, we hit Section 5, the ultimate cosmic journey, the 2025 vision and beyond.
To reach this final endpoint, Zhu Feng essentially clears the board of traditional institutions. He writes quite bluntly, "The solution to humanity's predicament does not rest in UN conferences." He explicitly rejects the efforts of national leaders, philosophers, and traditional economists. For him, the answer to our global turmoil is entirely binary. It relies solely on artificial intelligence combined with the second home's new production and living model.
But here is the kicker. For the Chanyuan Celestials, surviving and transforming the old world is literally just step one. The ultimate goal is highly esoteric. They believe they first have to await a metaphorical moment, when the mountain blossoms bloom. From there, they will journey to celestial spaces, specifically named the 1,000-year and 10,000-year worlds, ultimately reaching the Elysium Celestial Islands continent to experience the boundless romance of life.
It is a breathtakingly vast vision, spanning from the very modern anxiety of losing our jobs all the way to ascending into celestial dimensions. As we navigate our own era of rapid technological shifts and societal reorganization, this explainer leaves us with a truly provocative question. Could such an unexpected pairing, the dizzying rise of artificial intelligence combined with deeply spiritual alternative communities, truly become the blueprint for our collective future? It's a question that challenges everything we assume about how tomorrow will be built. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the future.